What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is February 13th, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. So, Iran's IRGC chief warned that if anyone attacks an Iranian ship, that the IRGC will respond. If it is a war of ships and they attack our ships, we will definitely attack the same number or even more than them. Okay. And why he's saying this is because there's been talk that the U.S. might sink one of the Iranian ships near the Red Sea, which many experts believe is helping the Houthis to obtain targeting information on commercial ships and U.S. warships that pass through the Red Sea. And the U.S. was planning to sink that ship. So now the IRGC chief is threatening to respond. And they just recently tested a long range ballistic missile with a range of over 2,000 kilometers that they can fire from their ships. And they also tested a 20-kilometer range anti-ship missile that they can fire from their ships. And there was a flare up between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Apparently, Azerbaijan fired on some Armenian border guards, and that was in response to Armenia firing on Azerbaijani border guards. So there was some kind of a flare up yesterday, resulting in the death of two Armenian soldiers, apparently. And this is apparently a major blow to the ongoing peace process between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And Poland may obtain nuclear weapons in a few years. This was stated by Polish General Jarosław Kraszewski in an interview with RMF FM. And I'm going to read to you a little bit more of the details of that at the end of the video. And for the first time in history, Russia initiated a criminal case against the current head of another state. Russian security forces initiated a criminal case against Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, who is wanted by the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs for the dismantling of Soviet monuments. Wow, that is absolutely insane. We have some breaking news coming in from Moscow. Apparently, trading on the Moscow Stock Exchange has been suspended since 1400 hours today, Moscow time. Okay, so that would have been early in the morning here in the U.S. And the Israeli Air Force carried out an unusual airstrike in the center of Lebanon in Wadi Saluki, which is very interesting, and it's definitely going to significantly increase the tensions between Hezbollah and Israel. We know that Israel is in the process of preparing for a war with Hezbollah. I reported yesterday in my update that the Israeli chief of civil defense is saying that they're preparing for 50% of Israel's power to be cut, and they're preparing to evacuate more people from northern Israel, and they're preparing emergency food supplies. They're preparing generators to keep supermarkets running so people have food. Okay, so that is very serious. You don't do that unless something serious is about to go down. So I think what's going to happen is once Israel finishes what they're doing now in Gaza, they're going to turn their attention towards Lebanon and Hezbollah. Okay, they just recently moved their largest regular army division from Gaza to the northern border. Okay, so that's a huge sign that they're planning something. Okay, and Egypt has apparently backtracked on their threat to withdraw from the 1979 Egypt-Israel peace agreement if Israel were to move into Rafah and the Philadelphia axis, which is the border of Gaza and Egypt. The Egyptian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sami Shukri, stated yesterday that no matter what happens, including the Israeli ground invasion of the southern Gaza Strip and the city of Rafah, there is no intention by Egypt to withdraw from the 1979 Egypt-Israel peace treaty, with him further stating the peace agreement with Israel has existed for 40 years and it will remain so. So that's very interesting. And Egyptian sources are reporting that the CIA director, the Prime Minister of Qatar, and the director of Mossad are meeting today in Cairo with Egyptian officials to discuss a potential ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. And Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, invited the Palestinian president, Mahmoud Abbas, to visit Moscow. Wow, that's pretty crazy. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Egypt proposed the relocation of civilians from Rafah by establishing 15 campsites of around 25,000 tents each across the southwestern part of the Gaza Strip. And Egypt would be in charge of setting up the camps and field hospitals, according to Egyptian officials. So they're basically telling Israel, listen, we'll set up 15 camps, 25,000 tents each to move some of those people out of Rafah so they don't try to flood across our border. So I think that's what's going to happen now. I think Egypt and Israel are going to work together and they're going to try to figure out, a way to relocate the civilians out of Rafah before they go in, okay? And the Jordanian government is blaming Iran for a group that killed 3 of their soldiers that was supported by Iran, and they said that they're going to respond. Very interesting. And Biden said yesterday that the U.S. will continue operations in Iraq and Syria. And senior U.S. officials have stated that prior to any ground operation into the city of Rafah and the southern Gaza Strip, they expect the Israeli Defense Force and other agencies to conduct more hostage rescue operations within the city. And Hezbollah has rejected the third peace proposal from the French Foreign Ministry, which involved Hezbollah moving 10 kilometers away from the border with Israel. So Hezbollah rejecting the third peace proposal from France. Okay, it's clear Hezbollah is not interested in peace. And Biden is not going to take a cognitive test as part of an upcoming physical, the White House reportedly confirmed. And U.S. defense officials say they are expecting a large-scale response at some point from Iranian proxies as retaliation for the airstrikes by the U.S. Air Force on their facilities in Syria and Iraq on February 3rd, as well as the drone strike on the Kataib Hezbollah field commander Bakir al-Sadi in Baghdad last week. So U.S. defense officials are saying they are expecting some kind of a response from the Iranian proxies. It just hasn't come yet. And the New York City Police Department made arrests at a pro-Palestine march yesterday called Flood Manhattan for Rafah. Apparently hundreds were marching through New York City streets. And NATO scrambled jets to intercept 2 Russian nuclear bombers off the coast of Norway yesterday, according to the UK Daily Mail. And Germany has opened a new ammunition plant which will produce 200,000 artillery shells per year in the town of Unterlüss. And Russia has apparently stopped using human wave attacks in Avdiivka, Ukraine. Instead, they are deploying small assault groups, according to a local commander of the Ukrainian military. And Ukraine's new top general, Oleksandr Syrsky, said Ukraine has moved from offensive actions to conducting a defensive operation, the goal of which is to exhaust the enemy's forces, inflict maximum losses using fortifications, advances in technology and UAVs, electronic warfare, and prepared defense lines. Okay, so they're going into defense mode right now. Very interesting. We'll see if that works. And the Ukrainian air defense shot down 16 of 23 Iranian drones that were launched from Russia last night. So Russia continuing to send drones basically on a nightly basis into Ukraine. And I want to just show you guys some flight paths here. What you're looking at are some U.S. nuclear war command and control planes that were active yesterday. We had 4 nuclear war command and control planes in the air yesterday, which is a lot. Okay, normally you have 1 or 2 every second day, but you can tell our world is in chaos now because we have so many of these nuclear war command and control planes. You can see one was flying over the Midwest for a while, one was flying over the Intermountain West, and then one was flying along the West Coast. And then there was another one also flying over the Midwest. Okay, so a lot of nuclear warplane activity. I have a picture here that was sent to me by a subscriber who lives in Colorado Springs, and he said that this was Air Force One landing in Peterson Air Force Base close to his house. Now, Peterson Air Force Base is where NORAD is now located. It's right next to Cheyenne Mountain Bunker. So we know that Air Force One went to Colorado Springs yesterday afternoon. And why that is, I have no idea, but that's where NORAD is. That's where the Cheyenne Mountain Doomsday Bunker is located. So I don't know if, they're moving the president into Cheyenne Mountain or something, but thought I would just share that with you. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1-month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the My Patriot Supply 1-month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. And I want to just remind you guys about something from my last update in case you didn't see it. Iran's former atomic chief said that Iran has enough components needed to build nuclear weapons now. And also, we had this shooting incident at the church in Houston, Joel Osteen's church. And the lady or the guy who was responsible for this attack had the words "Free Palestine" written on the rifle used. And I think this is the second attempted terror attack on U.S. soil since the war in Gaza began in October. Okay, the first one was in Niagara Falls, which, the official story is that somebody's accelerator pedal got stuck and they ended up, driving through the border crossing, which I don't believe. And then this is the second one. I believe that this was premeditated with some Iranian proxies and terror groups in the Middle East. But this is very concerning. Okay, an attack on a Christian church by a sympathizer with the Hamas militant group. And we had another Houthi attack yesterday on a Greek-owned ship. Here we have an official confirmation from U.S. Central Command. So, Iranian-backed Houthi militants fired 2 missiles from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. Both missiles were launched towards the Star Iris, a Greek-owned Marshall Islands flagged cargo vessel transiting the Red Sea carrying corn from Brazil. Now, apparently, this was actually heading towards Iran, and the ship reports being seaworthy with minor damage and no injuries. It was hit with 2 missiles, guys. Okay, 2 missiles. All right. Supposedly it's still seaworthy. And last night we had more reconnaissance activity in Eastern Europe. We had a U.S. RC 135 rivet joint flying along the border with Moldova here. And it was doing these loops back and forth here along the border with Moldova. And we also had this aerial refueler that was operating in the Baltic Sea. It was doing some loops around the Gotland Islands, some loops over Estonia, Lithuania, and Poland. This is aerial refueler plane. Sometimes they double as reconnaissance planes, so it's really hard to say if this was a recon plane or an aerial refueler refueling some other planes in the area. So NATO is definitely on high alert. Here's another recon plane that was flying around Kaliningrad last night. Okay, you can see it flew all the way around Kaliningrad. And last night, we also had a U.S. high priority reconnaissance plane fly from Okinawa, Japan to Taiwan. And this is an RC 135U combat scent plane. The U.S. Air Force only has 2 of these planes. What makes these recon planes different from the other RC 135s is that these planes provide intelligence information directly to the president and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Okay, so if something serious is going on, they send these planes to an area to get information that can be fed directly to the top of the chain of command. Okay, so as you can see here, it flew down towards Taiwan. Looks like it turned its transponder off shortly before getting close to Taiwan. And then you can see it flew back from Taiwan and landed in Okinawa, Japan. So the U.S. is very concerned about the Western Pacific. We had more reconnaissance activity over South Korea. Here's a beach guardrail operated by the U.S. Army that was flying near the DMZ. And here's some type of unknown aircraft that was flying in northwestern South Korea near the border with North Korea here all night last night. And then here's another one that was flying back and forth along the North Korean maritime border here. Okay. And we had this unusual LiDAR mapping again last night over Manila in the Philippines. 2 NASA planes, okay, U.S. Space Agency planes flying back and forth over Manila, mapping the terrain. It looks to me like this is preparations for war. They're maybe mapping out Manila and the bay over there in case they have to move warships in, or maybe they're going to be building a base there. I have no idea, but this is definitely LiDAR mapping. So, we'll have to wait and see why they do this, but this is the second time they've done this in the last few days. And here we have an article from the Russian news agency TASS talking about Poland getting nuclear weapons. And they write here that the Polish authorities should consider possession of a nuclear arsenal as a priority for the coming years. Brigadier General Jarosław Kraszewski, former head of the Department for Supervision of the Armed Forces in Poland's National Security Bureau, has said, those states that have nuclear capabilities enjoy a very high level of security. Usually such countries are not attacked, General Kraszewski said on RMF-FM Radio Nation. I believe that the emergence of such an arsenal in Poland will be an important task for the Polish government in the coming years. He noted that the deployment of nuclear weapons in Poland was a realistic scenario. Earlier, the head of Poland's National Security Council, Jacek Siewiera, interviewed by the Rzeczpospolita newspaper, avoided answering the question whether Warsaw was going to conclude an agreement with Washington on the placement of nuclear weapons on its territory within the framework of the relevant NATO nuclear sharing program. He remarked that NATO's nuclear umbrella was covering Poland. Previously, the authorities had declared such an intention. However, in September last year, Polish President Andrzej Duda said that the leadership had not yet made any progress towards accommodating nuclear weapons. Okay, so that was when Poland requested to be a part of the NATO nuclear sharing mission. But this Polish general is saying that Poland may develop their own nuclear weapons in the coming years. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But that's pretty serious, and I think it's coming. I think Poland's going to build nuclear weapons. It's just a matter of time because they want to ensure their security. And here we have some video footage coming from the Polish-Ukrainian border. Apparently, some Polish truckers blocked a border crossing and they dumped grain out of Ukrainian trucks. Okay, so what you see here are piles of Ukrainian grain that the Polish truckers dumped out of the trucks that were parked because there was a blockage. The Polish farmers blocked the border crossing so the Ukrainian farmers couldn't get in. So Polish farmers apparently blocked the border with Ukraine so the Ukrainian grain couldn't get through on these trucks, and they went around and dumped out the grain out of the Ukrainian trucks. And obviously, Ukraine is mad about this. But what's interesting is one of the Ukrainian officials is saying that this could be the work of Russian provocateurs and that these aren't really truly Polish farmers or Polish truckers doing this, that it could be actually like Russian agents that are basically doing this to try to provoke, a disagreement between Ukraine and Poland, so relations, degrade between them. And in Antwerp, in Belgium, one of the largest ports in Europe was blocked by these angry farmers. So that's very interesting. And Polish farmers have announced that they're going to be blocking all border crossings with Ukraine for a month starting February the 20th. This was reported by RMF 24. And the U.S. Air Force is overhauling its aircraft fleets, preparing them for a potential great power fight, a war that we've not ever seen the likes of before, a general said recently. With the possibility of conflict between the U.S. and China in mind, aircraft fleets are being downsized, upgraded, and reconfigured. Pilots are being retrained, and airmen are being pivoted towards what's needed for a possible conflict. It marks a shift away from the counterinsurgency warfare that has shaped aircraft fleets and pilot readiness for the last 20 years. As we come out of counterinsurgency warfare and look to pivot towards peer competition or peer conflict with a very different adversary, a U.S. general said. So, very strong words there. A war that we've not ever seen the likes of before. That doesn't sound good, guys. And the Prime Minister of Japan, Fumio Kishida, is planning a summit soon with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in order to create a possible breakthrough in the release of several Japanese nationals that have remained in North Korean prisons for decades. And I want to share some video footage of these unusual fireballs that were spotted last night in Costa Rica and Panama. It looks to me like something re-entering Earth's atmosphere. And I want to just share some footage here with you of some strange fireball in the sky over Costa Rica and Panama last night. So let me know what you guys think. It appears to be some kind of space rock that's entering Earth's atmosphere, and it looks like it broke up into pieces, but really vivid. Check that out. That looks crazy. Wow, look at that. Looks like a spaceship of some kind. I don't know. What do you guys think? That looks crazy. And here's another video. This video is actually even better. Check this one out. Look at that. Wow. What do you guys think? Looks like something broke up in the atmosphere into pieces. Maybe it's a satellite that's crashing down. I don't know. Just looks absolutely insane. You can actually fast forward a little more. Wow, look at that. And whatever it is huge, because you could see compared to the street lights down below, you can see it's quite large. Whatever this object was, UFO or, space rock, whatever. I mean, it looks pretty big compared to those lights down below. So very interesting. And apparently the US military is in possession of a video of a UFO apparently disabling a nuclear warhead during a routine test, according to multiple former officials. They claim the video in question captured a saucer-shaped craft circling the unarmed dummy warhead shortly after it detached from an Atlas rocket booster, then shot 4 beams of light at the warhead, disabling it. Retired U.S. Air Force officers Lieutenant Bob Jacobs and Major Florence Mansman claim to have viewed the recording of the 1964 encounter before the tape went missing. The former officials were part of a team responsible for capturing video of missile test launches in California with telescopic photography and videography equipment. 2 days later, after they screened the video, they claim that 2 plainclothes CIA agents confiscated the footage and swore them to secrecy. So, absolutely crazy, guys. This happened in 1964. Okay, 2 retired Air Force officers claiming they viewed a video of a UFO firing laser beams or beams of light at some kind of dummy nuclear warhead during a rocket test, an Atlas rocket test. That's one of our early ICBMs. Absolutely insane. We currently have a minor to moderate geomagnetic storm going on right now. So tonight, keep an eye to the skies. You might see an aurora borealis if you live in the Midwestern states and in the Northeast and in the Northwest. So that's some of the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back this evening with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until then, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.